How you going, Goombas? Today we have a pretty exciting reveal as the full set for Ninja Spinner has been revealed over in Japan. The set will be releasing for them next Friday and be included in our set in May, I want to say May 22nd, being Chaos Rising. But enough of that, let's just jump into the cards and see what they're going to be getting. Also, should say, quick disclaimer, secret rares haven't all been revealed yet, just the core cards. So we'll be seeing more cards revealed throughout the week as people open packs and get to see those. But the base sets of the cards have all been shown. So we're getting the Weedle line, basic Weedle in here, 1 grass energy, 30 damage, flip a coin if tails, attack does nothing. We did get to see this, I want to say a week or two ago, getting the Beedrill EX with it. Kakuna being the stage 1 for it, an ability on there, making it so it takes 20 less damage from attacks. Not a bad one to have. You're going to be using Force of Vitality, manually evolving up through these, so if you get stuck in the stage 1, effectively having 100 HP on this, it's not a bad shout. Technically more if it takes something a few hits to get through this, but it does mean it'd be able to eat an attack from like a Soul Rock unless they use Premium Power Pro. Beedrill EX here though, being obviously the main reason that line's in there. Stage 2 Pokemon, but we said Force Vitality, can quickly get into this. The attack on here doing 110 damage as a multiplier for each of your Beedrill you have in play, including Beedrill EX. So if you have a non-EX version out, you can be scaling this up pretty silly. When this comes out, though, I don't think we have any Beedrill in rotation, excluding this one, because I think the last one was in 151. But if we get a baby version down the line, this can be absolutely terrifying. Even if we don't, if you have 4 Beedrill in play, that gets up to 440 damage for just 1 energy. It's not too bad. Even just 3, you're getting up to 330, dealing with most things in the format. So, yeah, kind of scary. Carnivine being in here, 3 colorless energy to do 80 base damage, plus if your opponent's active Pokemon has no retreat cost, 80 more, so 160 into something with free retreat. It's not bad. Maybe they have an air balloon, removing their 2 retreat cost down to 0. Could be doing some pretty solid numbers, not necessarily getting like one-shots into things, but half hitting into things isn't a bad idea. 3 colorless energy though, pretty expensive. I'll be realistic, I don't see this seeing play. The Chespin line in here, baby one, 70 HP. You can use Buddy Poffin to get it out. We like to see it. Quilladin exists. Again, it's mostly in here because it's a grass Pokemon. You're going to be using Force Vitality. You might actually play this card. You just ideally aren't intending to play this as the main purpose of your deck. And evolving into Chestnut. So the ability on here, if this Pokemon's in the active and gets damaged by an attack for your opponent's Pokemon, you put 3 damage counters on them for each grass energy attached to this. So you could be doing some pretty silly damage there, right? Meganium effectively doubling the grass energy on here. You have 2 energy, it gets up to 4. If they hit you, they're taking 120 damage. And then you can actually hit them still with your attack, doing 160. So like, you can do some decent damage. For a standard, I'll be honest, I don't really see this being like a rogue deck, but for single prize shenanigans, could be a bit of fun for budget build battles or potentially GLC. A new Vulpix line in here, 70 HP, you can get it with Buddy Poffin. Makes it so your opponent gets burned. It's all right. The Ninetales in here, though, having Ninetailed Reflect. You're going to move all damage counters from one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to their active. Maybe you're hitting something on the bench really hard, or you're doing a lot of chip damage. Pairing this with Frostlass, potentially, I could see being a thing. So it could work. It could work. Apologies, just need to hydrate a little bit. Recommend you guys do the same. New Ho-Oh showing up in here. Flames of Resurrection. You're going to put 3 basic Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. Interesting, like a kind of cheeky recovery card. If you want to go really aggressive early in the game and just discard your hand, discard your hand, discard your hand, possibly it comes up. Like I'm thinking something like Squawkabilly EX and Carmine that are ditching a lot of cards. Squawkabilly's going to be rotating though, so like not really coming up. And the fact that this is your attack to get things back, I'll be honest, I don't really like this. Again, maybe for something like GLC where you have a bit more time, you're trading 1 prize at a time for the most part. But yeah, for standard, I don't think it's fast enough to be relevant outside of like pre-releases. Second attack on there though, 130 damage, dish and energy from this. Yeah, it's probably just going in the bulk, let's be honest. Fennekin being in here, 70 HP, so you can get it with Poffin. Gonna hear me saying that a few times today, I think. Having Call for Family on here, though, you can search your deck for 2 basic Pokemon, put them onto the bench. So ideally, like Poffin into this, then get this in the active, use the attack, effectively like another Poffin, except not limited by the amount of HP on your guys. So can be getting basic EXs, which is a nice bonus for that. You're going to be evolving this into Breaksin. Maybe 80 damage to fire energy, ditching energy. It's okay. I guess it gives you a way to deal with Crustle if you need it. But it's mainly going to be being run for the Delphox. So the ability on here, Flare Magic, makes it so once during your turn, you can discard a basic fire energy from your hand. Then you're going to draw until you have 7 cards in your hand. So that's pretty sweet. I think we did used to have one, I want to say from like base set XY, that was ditch a card, draw till 6. So it's pretty much just like a callback to that, just an extra card. So yeah, I like it. Honestly, solid. I could see this being play in standard, especially if your deck already runs fire energy, and Rare Candy just as a 1/1 line is not a bad shout. Lit Leo showing up in here. You can get it with Buddy Poffin. Evolves into Mega Pyroar EX. First attack, 1 fire and a colorless energy, does 80 damage. Then during your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attacks do 50 less damage. That's all right. It's not bad. Second attack on here, 290. This does 10 less damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Okay, so that's why you want the damage reduction off the first attack. It's like, did you not have enough energy to use the second attack? No? Okay, hit them, but make it so they don't make you weaker. The fact that your opponent can be damaging you to reduce your damage output, though, I'm not the biggest fan of that. Like, if a Dragapult hits you, they do a flat 200, and then you're just able to swing back at them for 90? It's not ideal. I guess the fact that it is a Mega Pokemon, you could be using something like Wally's Compassion to like fully heal this, and it's a fire Mega Pokemon, so you could be using Oricorio to ramp energy out to it. So it's like, you eat a hit, you use Wally, you fully heal this, accelerate energy onto it, swing for full damage. But like 290, you're not even taking a one-shot into things, and it's 3 energy to do it. Granted, it is a stage 1, so like there's got to be some drawbacks, right? If stage 1s were just one-shotting everything all the time, that'd be terrifying. But yeah, I don't know. Mixed feelings on this one, I'll be honest. New Remoraid line in here. 1 water energy, 20 damage. Get it with Poffin. Nice. Octillery, though, being the evolution for it, you're going to be able to use Corner Stop for 1 water energy, do 30 damage. Then during your opponent's next turn, when the defending Pokemon tries to attack, your opponent has to flip 2 coins. If either of them's tails, their attack fails. I don't hate it. I'll be honest, I don't hate that. Like, for a control deck concept, kind of neat. The fact that it does 30 damage, though, like, mixed feelings on it. Because if they are running Monkey Dory, it's basically like you hit them, they throw that damage at them, back at you. You hit them, they throw that damage back at you. So, like, it'd almost be beneficial for this to be less if you wanted to run it as a control deck, to be like, hey, I'm just going to make it so your attacks constantly fail. But yeah, I'm sure someone will try and make this work. Pre-release, I feel like it'll be a really cool concept. For standard play, probably not going to be very successful. Let's be honest, though. Delibird in here, Happy Present. Both players can attach up to 3 energy from their hand to their Pokemon in any way that they like. Your opponent attaches first. Again, for pre-release, I think this is cool. For standard play, you want to be accelerating energy out just for your stuff, not for your opponent. We have an Audino that's like flip 3 coins, accelerate 2 energy from your deck for each heads that you get. The fact that this has to be from hand and that it helps your opponent, mixed feelings on that. Very mixed feelings on it. Cool concept, but like very risky. You want to be helping yourself, not your opponent. Keldeo having the attack penetrate, doing 20 damage to the active, 20 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. A little bit of chip damage is never a bad idea. Hitting 20 though feels a bit short, right? Like you're not even taking out a Budu that's in the active trying to lock you out of doing things. I don't know. I feel like this would be better if it was that flat 30 damage, like a Jet Punch type attack, right? It's like take out a Budu, soften something up on the bench. You're doing numbers. 20 and 20, I feel like it's just shy of being relevant. Second attack on here, 70 damage for double water, moving energy from this Pokemon to one of your bench Pokemon. Yeah, Keldeo is going to be ball clipped. Froakie, get it with Poffin. You can draw a card or you can do 10 damage with it. You're going to evolve up into Frogadier. Calling Jutsu, you get to search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand. Hand Disruption is taking a bit of a back seat post-rotation, so should be able to get away with that in the early game, right? You're not really stressed out about Iono anymore. You're not taking a KO if you're declaring this attack, so Unfair Stamp won't be hitting you. Judge exists, and so does Harlequin, but like, don't really see those seeing heaps of play, so yeah, you could probably get away with that. Mega Greninja EX having the ability Mortal Shuriken. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's in the active spot, you can discard a basic water energy from your hand to use the ability. Put 6 damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon. I like this. That's pretty sweet. The fact that it is, yeah, discarding energy, we don't have like a great way to get energy into hand right now, right? Earthen Vessel's rotating, Chin Pow's rotating. Finding the energy might be a little bit tricky, but if you can reliably get it into your hand and then just run like high counts of energy retrieval, I think is staying. Superior energy retrieval, I know for sure is rotating. I think the basic version of it does stay. Happy to be corrected in the comments if I'm wrong though. So yeah, you should be able to recur this, and Lana's Aid is another option if you do want. Plus, the fact that you can pair this with Surfing Beach to just be able to like loop a couple of ninjas, potentially taking KOs with the ability and then trying to take a KO with the attack. Also, you could get a little bit greedy with this. It could be fun. The attack on here though, 120 base damage. You may put a water energy attached to this Pokemon back into your hand and have it do 80 more. So you can get this up to 200 and give yourself a water energy to trigger the ability the next turn again. So yeah, I like that. Bergmite, 80 HP, so unfortunately out of Poffin range. The attacks on here just do flat numbers, that's fine. Evolves up into Avalugg, 160 HP on a stage 1, it's not bad. The first attack, Iceberg Destruction, does a multiplier of 60. You're going to discard the top 6 cards of your deck, then do 60 damage for each basic water energy you discard in this way. I like that. I actually really like that. So that gets you up to what, 360? So with the right build, you can potentially one-shot stage 2 EXs or stage 1 Megas. It's pretty relevant. It's kind of like the Gyarados from Team Up we used to have. The downside to this being you're not recycling things back in, right? So it's not like, oh, did you hit non-energy cards? Those stay in your deck. Or did you hit energy cards? They go back into your deck. So it is kind of just, hey, mill myself, do big number. So you're going to need lots of ways to refill your deck, or you do risk decking out. But yeah, fun concept. I think we already have Mega Abomasnow that does a similar thing. That obviously being a 3-prizer though, compared to a single prizer. So I like the chances of Avalugg being a fun rogue deck more than I did of Abomasnow. Wimpod showing up, you can get it with Poffin. Going to evolve up into Kalisapod, 140 HP on a stage 1. Has the attack critical cut, doing 30 base damage. Then, if this attack's damage knocks out your opponent's active Pokemon during their next turn, this can't be affected by damage or effects of attacks. I actually really like that. This, I feel like, is like a prime partner for a Frostos Monkey Dory build, right? Like, you're going to be putting damage counters all over the place, setting up PKOs, and it's like, cool, go into Kalisapod, knock this thing out. I'm invincible. Do you have guts to get around me? Or I'm just going to keep doing this. That's fun. That's actually really fun. Second attack on here, triple colorless, 150 damage. During your next turn, this thing can't attack though, but no, I like that. That's actually a really fun card. Mareep in here, get it with Poffin. First attack, lightning and a colorless, 30 damage to flip a coin. If it's heads, you can paralyze your opponent's Pokemon. Probably not going to be coming up too often, but it is an interesting attack to have. Usually like seeing that as like a 10 damage coin flip attack though, not for 1 energy, not a 2 energy to do 30, but it is what it is. Laffy's in here. Similar attack, I think. 40 damage. Oh, during your opponent's next turn, they can't play item cards from their hand. Okay. I don't hate that, actually. That's kind of neat. And then evolves up into Ampharos. The ability on here makes it so if you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent, its attack does 80 more damage. 140 damage. During your next turn, you can't use this attack again. So you can potentially get to, what is that, 220? Situationally? 2 energy on a stage 2? Yeah. That's the Emolga in here, though, having Minor Aaron running. You get to search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, reveal them, put them into your hand. I feel like we have a Gimmighoul that literally has that attack, so cool to see that coming back. And then the second attack on here, 30 damage, return this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. Honestly, I don't hate that as a way to deal with Budew in the early game, right? It's just like, hey, I do exactly enough to take you out, bounce this into my hand, put my real thing in the active. If your real thing wants to be taking a hit, that's a different story, but into something like Dragapult, where they're just going to be going like Budew, Itchy Pollen, Itchy Pollen, Itchy Pollen while they try and get set up. It's like, cool, I deal with your Budew, I bounce this, I go into something else. Cool concept. I don't know. Might see niche play. I feel like it'll more so be one of those things that like in pre-release, that's about it. Now we did get some new Deoxys cards revealed earlier this week. I didn't take a peek at these, but Genome Charge. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Psychic energy cards and attach them to this Pokemon. Okay, sets up the second attack, Psychic, doing base of 80 damage, then 20 more damage for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. It's fine, I guess. Another Deoxys. I think this is the speed form. All right, this is the normal form. This is the speedy one. Size Spear, 120 base damage. If this Pokemon has at least 2 extra energy attached to it, it also does 120 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Really cool partner for Gardevoir EX. Really unfortunate this is coming out after that rotates. Yeah, I don't think that's going to see play until we get some sort of replacement for Gardevoir. And the defense form of it, Psy Protect, 80 base damage during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability. This one I could situationally see being playable, but again, it's once we get some solid Psychic energy support or Psychic energy acceleration. Like Wondrous Patch exists, but getting 3 energy onto this with that feels like a bit of a stretch, but I like this card. These two, actually. I like both these. Both these would have been really cool for Guardy. And then I want to say this is the attack form. I could have got the speed form and the attack forms switched around. They all kind of look similar-ish. But this one can do 30 damage. You draw cards until you have 5 cards in your hand. I feel like that's got to be the speed one, right? This would be attack. He's going on the offensive. This one's like, hey, I can use an attack quickly. I can help myself get into the game. It's interesting. Mega Floette EX. This card I am genuinely excited for. First attack, healing 30 damage from each Pokemon in play. Might come up situationally, but the second attack, 3 Psychic Energy to do 200 base damage. Then you're going to search your deck for 4 Psychic Energy and attach them to your bench Pokemon in any way that you like. So maybe you're pairing this with the Deoxyses. Maybe. But I do like this because potentially, yeah, if you want to lean really hard into Wonder Patch, you could be getting this attack off your first turn in the game if you're going second and setting up some solid attackers. Out of the gate, I'm not sure that this card's going to be like amazing. It kind of needs like a good partner to go with it. But yeah, definitely an interesting concept here and some solid energy acceleration potential there. Esper, 60 base HP, so you can be getting this with Coffin. Has the attack, Buddy Attack, 10 base damage. If you played Emma from your hand this turn, this attack does 60 more damage. Okay, I'm guessing there's a new supporter card to go with this. That's kind of sweet. 70 damage for 1 energy. Situational. Kind of like Soul Rock or Band Rotom. Cool, I like it. Meowstic, Trick Step, 80 base damage. You can move an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon to one of their bench Pokemon. A little bit of disruption, a little bit of damage, kind of like Elgum. Alright, but I don't hate it. The fact that it's limited to just that they're active, though, kind of hurts its disruption potential, right? Like the Elgum's kind of cool because it's like you can move things off their active, and then when they're trying to set up something on the bench, it's like, oh yeah, I can mess with that too. Like if they're trying to set up Monkey Doors to fling counters back or something, it's like, nah, get that out of here. This being a little bit more limited, I feel like will hurt it, but interesting concept for sure. Phantom being in here with the ability Envious Evolution, so you can put 2 damage counters on this and immediately evolve it into Trevenant, excluding your first turn of the game. But cheeky way to get some damage counters on your board, and a cheeky way to get into the evolution. The Trevenant can use Curse Roots, doing 30 base damage during your opponent's next turn. Energy can't be attached from your opponent's hand to the defending Pokemon. So as long as they can't switch out or evolve through this effect, you can just be like, that thing's not going to set up for an attack. I'm just going to buy my time chipping into this and then gust around and do the same thing into something else, which is pretty cheeky. Second attack on here, Overpain, doing 60 base damage, then 10 more damage for each damage counter on all of your opponent's Pokemon. You're going to be using that first attack and yeah, just buying time, making it so they can't hit you, switch into something else, and eventually it gets to the point where Overpain is just going to be able to one-shot anything. So yeah, kind of scary. Pumpkaboo being in here, 20 damage for a Psychic Energy. It evolves into the Gourgeist, which is going to pair really nicely with that Trevenant line we just saw. The attack on here, Horror Rondo, doing 30 base damage, then 50 more damage for each of your bench Pokemon that have any damage counters on them. So by pairing this with something like Risky Runes, as you're benching things, they're taking damage. And then when you want to really pump up the damage of this, bump it out, put Area 0 Underdepths in play, have a Terra Pokemon on your bench. Something like Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon for certain matchups can be really useful and makes it so you can have up to 8 things on your bench. Then you're going to be benching those Phantoms, triggering their abilities. They're taking damage. Your damage is scaling up. All of a sudden, you can have a board of 8 things that are damaged. get up to 430 base. Or not 430 base, 430 damage. Yeah, it's terrifying. I like it. Second attack on here doing 140 damage. You're going to discard a random card from your opponent's hand. So kind of like the Absol attack we're seeing running around at the moment. 1 less energy to use it. It's on a stage 1 though, and 60 less damage, but still can be pretty disruptive and a solid attack while you're trying to build up damage for your first one. Zernia showing up here with Geostorm, multiplier of a 30 for what? The number of psychic energy attached to all of your Pokemon. Okay, so a solid single prize attack you compare with the Mega Floette. Free psychic energy to use it though. Really expensive. We're getting a new Pseudo Widow as well. Has the attack Learning Journey. You're going to search your deck for up to 2 Book of Transformation. Guessing that's a item card or tool card we're going to be seeing soon. Reveal them, put them into your hand. Did mention before, there's not heaps of hand disruption post-rotation. So yeah, if it's really good, that could be a solid card to be setting yourself up for. New Fanfy. 10 damage for a fighting, or 40 for 3 colorless. Evolves into Dawnfan. No Reprieve for 1 fighting energy. You're going to do 20 damage. During your next turn, the attacks of this Pokemon do 80 more damage to the opponent's active. Okay, that gets up to, what, 100 for 1 fighting. You can pump those numbers up with Premium Power Pro. I don't hate it. Second attack doing 180. You're going to discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, though. But yeah, you use the first attack. You make it so the second one gets up to 260. Pre-release, maybe it's relevant. Outside of that, I don't really like that card though. Pretty expensive attack. Baltoy, continuous spin. You're gonna flip a coin until you get tails. Do 30 damage times the number of heads. Pretty sure we have, I want to say Tyrogue, that does the same thing but has a 0 energy attack. Less HP though, so still cool attack. Could pop off. Evolves into Claydol. You can use Devolution Ray. 50 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon is an evolved Pokemon, devolve it by putting the highest stage evolution card into their hand. Okay, so Devo TM, but you're doing damage and it's only hitting 1 thing. It is a fighting type though, so you could use Premium Power Pro. Get that up to 100 damage. Hit the active, devolve it. It's like into a Dragapult. Hit him for 100. Or not 100. You're doing 50. Premium Power only gets you up to 80. Why did I think it was doing 70? Not sure where that number came from. Okay, Premium Power to get you to 80. Oh, I want to like this, but no. If the base damage was like 60 or 70, yeah, it'd be fine. Because then if you're hitting like a stage 1 that goes down into a basic with 70 HP, you can get a KO. I like it. Or with a Premium Power Pro, hitting a stage 2 into a stage 1 with 90 HP, but you're doing 100 because of Premium Power Pro. Good. 50 is a very awkward number. No, okay, I don't like this. I like the concept of it, but yeah, it needs at least 10 more damage to be relevant. Ideally 20, but yeah, okay, 50 damage hurts that. Zubat Supersonic. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now confused. Okay, basic Pokemon, single energy attack, that's fine. Golbat Convert Flight? No, Covert Flight. 30 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon does not take damage from attacks by basic Pokemon. Okay, I don't hate that actually. So like if you pair into Raging Bolt, who's like fully dependent on attacking with basics, you just have a free out. You're like, okay, I just don't bench anything else. I declare this attack. Eventually I win. Neat. Can evolve up into Crobat. Has an ability that makes it so once during your turn, if this is in the active, you can use the ability, search your deck for a card, shuffle it, then put that card on top. So like Cypher Maniac, but for 1 card. Pair this with, oh, what's his name? Grimsley? Yeah, Grimsley. It's like look at the top 6 or 7 cards of your deck, find a dark Pokemon, put them right onto your bench. So you could just be like setting up a crazy top deck for this. That's actually neat. I kind of like that. I wish it had free retreat, because the fact that it's like you need a way to get this out of the active after is a little annoying. And like Crobat, I feel like is really fast to give him free retreat, but yeah, that's actually a cool concept to play around with. Getting Quillfish. The ability on here, if it takes damage from an attack, poisons your opponent. Okay. Seen stuff like that before. Venoshock, 30 base damage. If your opponent's Pokemon's poisoned, 50 more. So if they hit you and don't knock you out, you can hit them back for 80. Okay, we don't have like a great way to poison your opponent post-rotation, do we? Because I feel like Brute Bonnet's rotating. Ooh, cool concept. I feel like if you Few months too late though. Getting a Stunky. Scratch, 20 damage, evolves into Skunk Tank. Rear kick, 40 damage, second attack, 100 damage. Switch this with one of your bench Pokemon. It exists. It's going in the bulk, let's be honest. New Trubbish, Acid Spray, 10 base damage, flip a coin if heads discard an energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon. I don't hate that. Crushing Hammer on an attack can be relevant. Garbodor has an ability. If your opponent's active Pokemon has any tools attached to it, its attacks do 20 less damage. It doesn't say this doesn't stack, which is kind of funny. So if tools become like a really, really relevant thing, it's just like, cool, 4 of these in play, your attacks do 80 less. I don't think it will, but like, could be an interesting one to play around with. There's not like a Mega Garbodor, is there? Like where this would be like a good one-off to have to fix up numbers? I don't think there is. He had a G Max, didn't he? Like a Gigantamax form. I don't think he had a Mega. Getting a Squirrel. No evolution for him? Dragon type evolution? Must be a dragon type evolution. New Beldum line. You can get this with Poffin. Nice. New Metang. Doesn't accelerate energy from your deck. You're not going to be running this one. And Metagross. Bounce back. Does 60 base damage if your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon. Okay. Second attack. 150 base damage. You can discard 3 metal energy from this Pokemon. If you do, this attack does 150 more. 4 steel energy. Pretty hefty to charge up. 300 damage on a single prizer though. Like, pretty good. I like the idea of this. I don't think it does enough for how much of a energy commitment it's asking for though, but it's an interesting card for sure. Getting a new Ferroseed, 2 steel, 40 damage, evolves into Ferrothorn, has an ability during your opponent's turn. If this card is discarded from your deck by an effect of an opponent's attack, ability, item, or supporter card, your opponent discards the top 8 cards of their deck. What? If this card is discarded from your deck by an effect of your opponent's attack. So if your opponent tries to mill you, you mill them 8 instead. Okay, so if mill becomes a relevant thing in the format, you just tech in 1 copy of this. And yeah, if your opponent hits it in the late game when their deck's also running pretty thin, they could lose to self-mill instead. That's funny. Interesting card to have as a one-off in your collection. I don't really think it's going to be like a relevant thing. You'd be running more than that though, but like, yeah, as a one-off, if you know there's a guy at League that like really wants to run mill. Cool. Second attack, or not second attack, first attack. We were just talking about an ability first. But 2 steel energy, 70 base damage to use Special Whip. If this Pokemon has any special energy attached, it does 70 more damage. 140 for 2 on a stage 1. Nah, you're just running it for the ability. And like even then, very, very niche situations, you'd be running that. Cobalion EX, we did see this one a while ago. The ability on here making it so when it moves from the bench to the active, you can pull any steel energy from your other Pokemon onto this guy. I like it because you can effectively just be looping Cobalions into each other. The attack does 200 flat damage. You can't use the attack the next turn, or this thing just can't attack during the next turn, so you want to be able to loop them into each other. Cool concept for sure. It's kind of like a Zacian V we used to have, but this just being able to pull the energy over. Mega Draggle. Draggle? Scrope's evolution. So we're right, it is a dragon Pokemon. 330 HP on a stage 1. Pretty good for a Mega. Corrosive Liquid, discard all Pokemon tools and special energies from all of your opponent's Pokemon for double colorless. Interesting. And for a Water Dart, your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. During Pokemon checkup, they take 16 damage counters instead of 1. Okay, so you're effectively putting a clock on them. Like, hey, can you evolve or switch out? No? Cool. At the end of your next turn, whatever's in your active is going to get knocked out because you can't remove that stat condition. It's alright. I don't mind it. Might be a fun one to experiment with. What Pokemon do we have to like pump up poison damage right now? Pearlius Jungle. So if they're poisoned, they take 2 more. Anything else? We don't have a way to like bounce this after it attacks, so you can't go into Petrant and pump it up anymore. Interesting one to experiment with though. Yeah. Gumi. Absorb 30 damage, heal 30 from this for Water Psychic. Okay. You get it with Poffin? You can, 60 HP. Sliggoo, 70 damage for Water Psychic, and Goodra, when your opponent's active Pokemon retreats, your opponent flips a coin if tails that Pokemon doesn't retreat, and they do not discard any energy for retreating. So you're effectively just retreat locking them, but on a coin flip. Like, it's neat. I guess if you really like what a Veltal does, being able to use Clutch and buy yourself time, it's just like, hey, do you want to be able to do that, but potentially have something else in the active attacking? And then it's just on a coin flip. But it's a stage 2. Like, that's eating up a lot of deck space for a coin flip. I don't know. Maybe if we get a card to, like, cheat Dragon Pokemon into play, this could come up. Like, we used to have, what was it, Lance Prism Star that could, like, get Dragon Pokemon immediately onto your bench. If we see something like that, like what Grimsley does effectively, but for dragons, maybe this is, like, a cheeky tech you could get out, but I don't know. Get one copy for your collection. I wouldn't be getting a playset of it. Tauros, 130 HP on a basic colorless Pokemon. Could be pairing this with Bouffalant to make it extra tanky. I like it. Crowd targeting. You're going to choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. Flip a coin for each of your Pokemon with Tauros in its name. This attack does 50 damage times the number of heads to that Pokemon. Paldean Tauros is in rotation still, right? So you could be potentially getting up to 8 Tauros in play. Have a Terra Pokemon in area 0 Underdepths. Flip a bunch of coins. Maybe do 400 damage. The options there. Is it going to be good? Probably not, but like Glass Trumpet to get this thing charged up? It'll be a fun, like, casual league night deck. I like that, though. That's funny. Patrat, the ability on here, Watchful Eyes. If this Pokemon is in play, you and your opponent can't move damage counters to another Pokemon. This counters Monkey Dory. It's a colorless Pokemon, though. So Team Rocket's Watchtower becomes even better, right? It's going to be stopping this. It's going to be stopping Meowth. It's going to be stopping Noctowl. Anything else? Dodrio's on their way out. Squawkabilly's on their way out. But yeah, Meowth, Monkey Dory counter, and Noctowl just hyper consistency. Team Rocket Watchtower is going to become a very, very relevant card soon. Evolves into Watchdog, unannounced checkup. Flip 3 coins. If any are heads, look at your opponent's hand and choose as many cards as the number of heads. Your opponent shuffles those cards back into their deck. Yeah, it's fine. Control players might experiment with it. Minchino can do 30 damage, 10 damage to itself. Can evolve into Chinchino EX. The ability on here, if any damage is done to this Pokemon by attacks, you're going to flip a coin if heads prevent that damage. Okay, so it's like Whimsicott GX. And then Energize Slap, 40 as a multiplier. The stack does 40 damage for each energy attached to this Pokemon. It's literally just Whimsicott GX. I like that. That's a funny deck. That's sick, actually. And it's colorless, so you can be using Glass Trumpet to accelerate energy onto it. Yeah, cool. Sign me up. Special red card. What is this? You can only play this card if your opponent has 3 or less prize cards remaining. Your opponent shuffles their hand and puts it on the bottom of their deck. Then your opponent draws 3 cards. It's Iono to 3 on an item card, but you can only use it in the second half of the game. I love that. That is, oh, that's actually really good. I'm not saying disruption's like not really a thing anymore. Granted, the things I said disruption isn't a thing for is like you're using it in the early game and you're not taking KOs. So they do still bypass that. It was Greninja's stage 1. But that's cool. Greninja stage 1 and the Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo like got you an item card, I think. Big Catch Net. Shuffle up to 3 water Pokemon and 3 basic water energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. I like that it doesn't say and or. Like getting you 6 cards off 1 card. Very relevant. Limited to 1 type. Very fair. Book of Transformation. This is the thing Sudowoodo's getting you. You must play 2 Book of Transformation cards at once. The effect only works 1 time for 2 cards though. Okay, so it's like a combo card like Custom Catcher. Choose a basic card, or choose a basic Pokemon in your discard pile and switch it with one of your basic Pokemon in play. Any attached cards, damage counters, special conditions, turns in play, and any other effects remain on the new Pokemon. Ooh. So it's like, oh, what was that guy's name? There was one that did it specifically for dark types. It's like swap basic dark Pokemon with a basic dark Pokemon, and then we also had Thornton, right? Thornton did it. Sweet. Yeah, Thornton effect on item cards. Yes, good. Very good. I like that. That and this. Yeah, like giving supporter effects to item cards, but making them more situational. Sign me up. Because then we can use like tutoring supporters more, like gust supporters more, and kind of lean into that stuff. Lean into Pokemon a bit more for draw support. I like it. Format's going to be fun once it gets a bit more developed. AZ's Tranquility. Switch your active Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. If you move to Pokemon, EX to your bench in this way, heal 80 damage from it. Okay. Like, additional switch options are always good. We have Surfer that's like switch and draw. We have Kieran that's you can either use it to switch or you can use it to do extra damage. And now we have this, which is switch and heal. But it's not saying only switch EX Pokemon. But if you do switch an EX Pokemon, you get to heal it. If you switch a non-EX Pokemon, it just switches. Cool. I like it. Interesting card. Maybe it's a one-off in things. Like, I wouldn't see it being played at high counts.
Pineapple surprise!
You've got someone following over on Twitch. Didn't realize I had the alert set up to pop up on this page too. Not Obliv. Welcome to the Goomba game though. New supporter card, Philippe. You're going to attach 2 metal energy cards from your discard pile to one of your metal Pokemon in play. That's pretty solid. Double metal saucer, but on a supporter card. Oh, actually not even metal saucer because that was only to the bench. This is like, you can get that on your active. Like it. New Roxy supporter. During your opponent's next turn, their poison Pokemon can't retreat. That's funny. So you play that with a Dragalagal or whatever, and it's like, can you evolve through this? No. Do you have a dedicated switch card? No. You're just relying on Air Balloon to get out of the active. You're going to get knocked out. Emma. So this was the one that paired with Esper. Your opponent reveals their hand or draw cards equal to the number of Pokemon in their hand. Honestly, don't hate that. For decks that want to be building up a very large hand size, like Alakazam, I could see this being relevant. It's just another straight draw card, and it kind of riffs off your opponent. They can play around you if once they know that you're running this, but then it's like, you're playing around me by benching things you may not be wanting to bench. I like it. That's a cool concept. Ange Floette. This card can only be played by discarding a Prism Tower in play. You can only... Oh, this is the one that evolves from Prism Tower, effectively. Okay, so each Mega Floette in play gets 150 extra HP, and you have to have Prism Tower in play before you use it. Once during each player's turn, you can ditch 2 cards and draw a card. I like it. That's pretty silly. Nitro Energy. Ooh, we haven't seen this yet. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides a fire energy. If an attack used by a fire Pokemon this card is attached to, would discard this card, put it into your hand after applying damage and effects to that attack. Cool. So Boomerang energy, but it's fire type, and 4 fire types. Bubble Water Energy. As long as this is attached to a Pokemon, it provides a water energy. The water Pokemon this is attached to recovers from all special conditions and can't be affected by special conditions. And then the final one being Magnet Energy. As long as this card's attached to a Pokemon, it provides a Steel Energy. The Steel Pokemon this is attached to has no retreat cost. So you pair that with Cobalion, you can easily loop them into each other. And because it's the Steel Energy when it's attached, it pulls it onto the new Cobalion, so you can easily loop them into another one. So yeah, really cool. I do also like the call out on the special energy that it doesn't say it only counts as the energy type when it's on a Pokemon of that type, but the additional effect only applies when it's on a Pokemon of that type. Like for the dragons, where it's like it needs a water psychic, or I think it was the Goodra line. They could be running bubble water energy if they wanted to. So if you have other water Pokemon in there that benefit from this effect a bit more, they could be using it. But if you're in a pinch, you can put it on the Goodra. So yeah, that's kind of neat. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this kind of breakdown of the set. Definitely some interesting cards in here, and keen for it to release May 22nd in Chaos Rising for us. But also very excited to see what Japan does with these new cards when it comes out later next week. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you can keep up with the content. Until next time, stay golden, you Goombas.